Not only are you never going to guess what my number one game is, I'm also bald now. Yep, the only rule for this top 10 is that if it's a game that was not released in 2025, I had to have played it for the first time this year being 2025, that is. It can also qualify for this list if it has been long enough since I last played that it might as well be an entirely new experience. I usually prefer starting over if that's the case, unless the game is really long, in which case, no. Anyway, let's go. Switch 2 has GameCube games on it, and Wario World is one of them. It is, in all honesty, a lot of fun to play, being one of many GameCube titles from Nintendo that tries something different that, as far as I know, isn't really explored again, with this one being a sort of beat-em-up, with a bit of extra platforming, but not too much. We gotta ease the stomach in slowly when introducing garlic to it. The story is not all that is cracked up to be, though. Simply put, an evil sentient gem that Wario obtained turned his gold and other treasures into monsters. Good luck, jackass. Now why is this at number 10? You tell me. Now why do I even put this on this list? Firstly, the pause screen music is unironically catchy. Secondly, Pile Driver. I'm a pro wrestling fan. I see reference, I get happy. I'm even wearing a shirt that references wrestling in some form. Mario! Full disclosure, I've already played this one a while ago, didn't like it because of the sort of tank control scheme with it, played the 3DS version, thought it was better, but not by much. However, I'm counting this because it's the GameCube version, not the 3DS version. In another unique GameCube take, you play as Luigi if he was in Ghostbusters, but all his teammates are gone and the ghosts look like... Yeah, you know what? No, I can't trash these designs. They're so much better than the ones in 2 and 3. The story here is that Mario is missing as he went to a mansion and never came out, because they won a mansion in a contest. So Luigi goes in to find him while meeting Professor Egad, who helps him get started on his venture into the Haunted Mansion. So my issue with this game lies in the C-stick. So for some reason, looking up and down is inverted even though he's not in Disney's planes, and in terms of the tank control mentioned, while going forward doesn't make him go forward regardless of where he's going, Luigi's left side is mapped to the left of the C-stick while his right side is mapped to the right on the C-stick. Meaning that if he's facing the player and you push the C-stick to the right, he will turn on his right, not yours. I know it sounds odd, but it can be pretty disorienting, especially as someone who didn't really play games with tank controls, let alone games that didn't use the right stick for camera control, or in the case of the early PS1 titles, couldn't growing up. That said, I relied on save states and changing the controls so C-stick up actually makes them look up. This is why accessibility options matter, because I ended up having fun with it this way. That's the other thing though. I do enjoy some aspects of this game and of this series. I like my time enough that I put it on this list at the least. I also put it above WarioWare because despite my grievances, it is easier to control, but it also turns out it's a longer game too. Yeah, Wario World can be beaten and I think even 100%ed in under 3 hours, and Luigi's Mansion can be beaten in maybe 7 or 8 hours. Dragon Ball Sparking Zero is a game I'm realizing I don't think I can make a big enough video on, but it's still a super fun game that does require skill with it, even if there are some issues that Bamco has yet to fix last I checked. The story is... there is no story. The single-player content is largely that you play campaigns as certain characters that include some what-if paths if you manage to do what is required for that, from Goku surviving his fight with Raditz to Vegeta becoming Super Saiyan after his fight with Goku and showing it off on Planet Namek. It's, in my honest opinion, a neat incentive to keep playing and raising your level to earn more Zenny to unlock new skins and characters, and it'll get hard, but it will be worth it. The roster is super massive too. Though my best friend Dark Izuru told me that it's missing key OG Dragon Ball characters such as Mercenary Tao and Nam, and while I was a bit confused about that at first, given that Hercule, Mr. Satan, is in this game, I agree with him on that. There also isn't much else to do in terms of single player content, but for me the gameplay is so much fun. See? Told you I couldn't make a full video out of that. I don't know, maybe I'll try someday. Anton Blast is one of the most fun games I've played yet. It, like Pizza Tower, is heavily inspired by Wario Land 4. And also like Pizza Tower, it's batshit insane. The story is that Satan is angry that Anton is more red than him, so he has his minions steal what I assume are his tonics. Not sure why Wikipedia says spirits, but it has been a hot minute since I played it in full earlier this year. So, you can use your hammer to keep bouncing while taking out enemies including fish that look like you, can chain together attacks to speed yourself up, which is perfect for the race back to the start parts of these levels, and, no joke, there's a scream button. I started Hollow Knight years ago and hadn't touched it for years up until earlier this year, so it only made sense to start it over. The story is, I don't think I really got far enough to say. I think it's fine to not mention it though, as this is a Metroidvania with Souls-like elements that's about as linear as a desert. The entire point in this game is to explore as you take on enemies and survive, which is funny because I started the game over because I got the Monarch wings before doing a certain side quest in the game, as getting them changes up a few things in the world, making these side quests that much harder. And as much as I always will advocate for accessibility options and difficulty options in games like this, so that more people can enjoy these games and thus more money can be earned for the dev team, I don't think playing on easy can make that side quest that much easier post Monarch wings. As for Silksong, I haven't touched it yet, as I want to try to beat Hollow Knight first. I don't think I'll go for full completion though, even I have my limits. I started Yakuza 0 way back in, I think, 2021, but due to never really opting to sit down in my chair and play it, and because of the ease with playing these games on my portable devices in the Steam Deck and Switch 2, it's weird. I don't know how to explain it. Maybe it's my autism. Maybe it's the fact that I grew up primarily playing handheld games and thus are more comfortable with it. I don't know. Maybe it's my bad back. I don't know. Stop asking me questions, please. Thank you. I ended up finishing it on the Steam Deck, and it was very much worth it as I was able to get through it faster than I had on my Xbox. The game here, though, is Yakuza Kiwami, a remake of the first game on PS2 from 2005 that coincidentally got a remaster that admittedly could have been a free update. I blame the PS4 and Xbox One ports getting PS5 and Xbox Series XS versions. I admittedly only made it to Chapter 5 so far. I'd restarted it multiple times on platforms trying to figure out which one I want to play it on, which I need to stress has nothing to do with my recent financial troubles, as I bought these ports on the game years ago, I can promise you that, to the point that I can beat Majima in the first fight you have with him in the game pretty well. My tips are to heal at the right time, strike him in beast mode, and try to throw him when grabbing him, and then use your heat action while he's on the ground. Bear in mind, you gotta be quick with the B button after grabbing him or he'll get out of it easily. Yakuza Kiwami is a sort of beat 'em up with RPG elements, in that you get into encounters with enemies on the street and then fight them. It's kind of funny to think about because Like a Dragon, as in Yakuza Like a Dragon, ended up becoming a turn-based RPG, so I guess you could say Yakuza Kiwami is more of an action RPG. There. You know that kind of information now. Do what you will with it. I'm not going to talk about the story in this case. I feel like it's way more important in the series from what I've played so far that I just recommend you play it yourself, or at the very least watch a playthrough or the cutscenes on YouTube, especially since these games can be pretty long. Again, my playing the rest of Zero on the deck helped thanks to the pick-up and style play of it. If you do ever opt to get the Yakuza / Like a Dragon series, do what my best friend Dark Izuru said about it. Start with Zero, though maybe wait for a sale since it's $50. I doubt it sucks, mind you. I just want you guys to wait for a sale on it since the economy is falling apart, and at some point there are going to be way more bubbles bursting than the AI bubble that's already bursting at the seams and being held together by one very tiny piece of string. And lint. Shimano can save Sisyphus from his torment by swallowing the boulder whole. Yeah, I don't know what to put here. It's a Darksiders game. Darksiders 1 is also a game I started years ago and only finished recently. This time though, I made sure to finish it on my Xbox due to the fact that I already got far enough in it that I might as well have. However, I chose to play the sequel on the Steam Deck as well. Darksiders 2 is a hack and slash kind of game that took the original formula of the first game and then threw it out of the 5-story window because the combat has been adjusted to fit the character as you play as being death instead of war, along with an equipment system since the first game only let you raise your defense by finding 10 pieces of a special armor throughout the entire game. I am still not over that shit. The combat in Darksiders 2 though, holy hell, it's so fun! It's so damn engaging and an absolute blast to take on even the weakest enemies. I also love the environments you go through, it's all so gorgeous. It really doesn't surprise me that this, at the time, was the most expensive game to make. The story here, it takes place during the 100-year imprisonment that War was stuck with in the first game, as Death tries to clear his brother's name by bringing back humanity. Now, I need to stress this in regards to this game. Avoid the PC port at all costs! The PC port has always been super buggy, including a bug that happens in the final boss fight of the game that very well is guaranteed to happen to me, but I'm already so far in this version that I might as well deal with it. And around the time the PS5 and Series X versions came out, the PC version was so busted that the devs had to introduce a closed beta based on the aforementioned versions to... actually, I don't know why. Because they introduced the beta back in October of 2024, and as far as I know, they have never commented on or updated the beta since. The most that the beta has is an improved lighting system, while the PS5 and Series XS versions have that and ray tracing, along with the obvious enhanced resolution and frame rate as the original console ports were 30 FPS. Funnily enough, I'm pretty sure the beta has even more bugs than the regular version does. So to hammer home how bad this port really is, I mean, in terms of like optimization, I am going to read the updated part of my review for the game on Steam. Again, I have to stress that like, I do plan on finishing this port because of how far I am in it already, but this is still a warning, you know? Alright. Okay, so I was going back to the Forge Lands and was playing with 10-watt TDP on my Steam Deck, but the frame rate suddenly got choppy when I got there, so thinking it was cause of the TDP limit, I went to the settings to turn it off, only for it to freeze on that icon, but the game itself was still going. I ended up having to reboot the deck, and it turned out that TDP did not cause the choppiness. In addition, when going from the Tree of Life to the open area in the Forge Lands, the game then decided I was playing with a keyboard as all button icons disappeared, with some of them being swapped out with keyboard controls. Some buttons also didn't work entirely, so when I opted to go to keybind settings to try and bind them to the buttons, the game crashed. Yeah, the game's good, but the PC port is not. If you want that ray tracing and enhanced lighting along with 60 FPS, play it on the PS5 or the Xbox Series X if you even have an Xbox at this point. But if you want it portably and don't mind the lack of ray tracing and enhanced lighting and 60 FPS, play it on the Switch One. I look like the cue ball trainer from Pokemon Blue. Pokemon Legends ZA is the first mainline game to have a version on the newer console as well as the older console, which is funny because people were weirdly thinking Black 2 and White 2 would be on the 3DS along with Ultra Sun and Ultra Moon, or the alleged Stars version being on the Switch 1. That would have never worked due to the online trading and battling aspect, as Black and White 1 wouldn't have been able to connect with Black and White 2 and Sun and Moon with Ultra Sun Ultra Moon. Be logical. That aside, Pokemon Legends ZA managed to take the battle formula and turn it into a sort of real-time battle system similar to an action RPG. I felt at first it was akin to real-time strategy games and thus wasn't big on it, but I warmed up to it eventually. Yeah, you can only explore Lumio City, but... yeah, actually no, that's still unfortunate. The story here is that you, the player character, have shown up to the city to help with the redevelopment plan of Lumios, with some more critiques on capitalism that X and Y were known for, some of which immediately went over my head. This is why I sometimes need a second playthrough for games to better understand some stuff. Now, I don't want to spoil too much, even if it's only been 2 months at the time of writing the script, but I will say a certain post-game battle had me ecstatic. And that's the most I'll say of that. It basically takes the gameplay of Legends Arceus and expands on and evolves it heavily. The DLC being announced before the game came out though? Yeah, even if that was likely the case because the game itself probably got delayed to allow more time to iron any bugs out, that's still something Nintendo nor the Pokemon Company should be doing. That's 2K and EA's bullshit style. But yeah, game's a lot of fun. And I do have a tip for this as well. You heard people bring up Wild Area 17, right? Well...
good luck with that, kid.
I happened to find a physical copy of Donkey Kong Bonanza at my local used game store, and had the money for it. This was months ago, it's not why money's tight lately, Patreon plug. This game... holy fuck, this game rules! The team that did this made Odyssey, and yet despite most Mario games being ones that I had fun in the moment and look back I'm thinking, it was alright, Donkey Kong Bonanza is so much fun to play through. The story here is that DK is stuck under the earth because of some corporate shit's trying to steal a plethora of crystal-looking bananas called Banandian gems. Thanks, LCOU. Never interrupt me again, though. Which DK can eat because his stomach was surgically removed from a Snorlax and put into him. Look, it's already been said enough, but I'm gonna say it anyway. Breaking the environment and other stuff is genuinely so damn satisfying that I'm kinda surprised they already had bug testing regarding that taken care of. It's even more satisfying when you use your regular Bonanza form. Speaking of, this is when I knew the game was truly amazing. I know I'm repeating myself here, but this is f***ing amazing. Seriously, this game is deserving of all the praise that it's gotten. But it's not my game of the year. So you're probably wondering then, what is? First, some honorable mentions. Doom the Dark Ages, a prequel to Doom 2016 to add to the lore. Truth be told, it didn't wow me much, even if I got all the achievements, and there were a few too many gameplay changes that felt like downgrades versus Doom Eternal. For what it is, it's alright. Kingdom Hearts Final Mix, an enhanced version of the PS2 classic that improved things heavily. I only managed to get to Deep Jungle on restart, and thus I feel I didn't play enough of it to really feel that it could be on the list. Disney Epic Mickey Rebrushed, a remaster of a cult classic Wii title that I also didn't play enough of to warrant being on the list, but you can also not revisit like 90% of the levels, which locks you out of collectibles, at least from what I can tell anyway, so I had to start it over already, which soured it a bit for me. Pac-Man World on the Game Boy Advance, a handheld take on the PS1 classic that's surprisingly really fun. I'm largely mentioning it here because I was gonna do a video on it and a couple of other handheld Pac-Man games, but too much time had passed since recording of the webcam and audio stuff, my heart wasn't in it. Or maybe I'll record new webcam and audio stuff and do the video anyway, I don't know. You know what, screw it, here are some dishonorable mentions, basically games that either didn't wow me, sucked, or both. Usually just one or the other, though. Cavern of Dreams, a game that tries to recreate the fun of the PS1 Spyro games. It, however, is so damn bland and dull. Like, I'm not trying to be different in either Steam reviews, I generally don't think this game is fun or engaging. Mega Man X3, the third entry in the beloved Mega Man X series that was outsourced. It's alright. Except for the final boss fight, or rather the escape sequence afterwards. To get through it, you need to wall jump very carefully up the wall, which eventually extends out a bit, as Sigma's wireframe head knocks into you, which from what I could tell, always knocks you down. I can't speak for others, but it felt like the game expected you to know that should you have the body chip or the hyper chip along with at least one full sub-tank, at least I think you need a sub-tank, I don't know, you can just stand in the middle of the level and let the lava take you. Okay, that didn't work. You can just stand in the middle of the level and keep jumping, as I think the damage from the lava causes you to reset a jump, I guess? I want to say I'm getting that a bit wrong. Maybe the lava acts like a platform, kinda, I don't know. All I do know is that it's fucking ridiculous. It also didn't help that I didn't get the Z-Saber in my initial playthrough, so that obviously didn't make things easier for the second phase of the final boss. Control Ultimate Edition. A 2018 Game of the Year contender that does well with the supernatural aspect of the game. Simply put, I just wasn't feeling it. It's not for me. Mega Man Battle Network 4 Red Sun and Blue Moon, the fourth entry in the much-beloved Mega Man spin-off series. It's alright for what it is, but the problem is that the game forces you to play the main story campaign 3 times in order to play the post-game on top of getting all 6 Double Soul transformations. This is why I haven't even touched Battle Network 5 yet, despite Star Fox Legacy Collection coming in March. I'm burnt out, man! Claire Obscure Yeah, I didn't play it. No, it's actually a little indie title that made absolutely no splash on the mainstream despite it being one of the best games I've ever played, in Pipistrello and the Cursed Yo-Yo. Yeah, I told you you'd never guess it. This game is a throwback to the Game Boy Advance games of old. Of course I like it. The Game Boy Advance is my favorite console of all time, and took inspiration from games like Legend of Zelda Minish Cap, which, go figure, is my fave Zelda game. It's apparently treated as a Metroidvania, which I don't really get, even with it being called a Yo-Yo-Vania. The story here is Pipistrello visits his aunt at her mansion, and then said aunt's soul is sucked into batteries by 4 of her corporate rivals to power their own businesses so hers could end. Yep, another commentary on capitalism, get f***ing used to it. You then explore the city and use fancy yo-yo tricks to get through the area and take out enemies, collect badges that give you special abilities, so on and so forth. On top of that, not only is there an LCD filter for the game, but you can outright enable a 3D console the game can be played on to simulate both how the screen looks and even play it as if it were on an actual Game Boy Advance with the tiny screen and everything. This is the best LCD filter usage ever! Seriously, this game is so good, please buy it and play it! And make sure to come up with funny names for the title, cause that is also fun. Pipistoople and the Rooples Pooples. Pipistingy and the door hingy. Pipiston and the beat goes on. Pipistool and Joe Cool. Pipistonk and the Padonkadonk. Pipispingo and hey, remember the game show Lingo?